everybody, how's it going? Today I wanted to share with you how I'm using N1netails to react to alerts on another project that I'm working on called CyberChef AI. So CyberChef AI allows you to take pictures of food and it will generate a recipe for you. And N1netails allows you to capture alerts and exceptions that happen in your application. So I hooked up N1netails to CyberChef AI, and whenever an alert happens, it gets displayed on this dashboard here. So here we can see there's some of the alerts that I haven't resolved yet, and I'm going to show you how I got that all set up today. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so before we get into the nitty-gritty of what I added into the code to get this working, I'm just gonna go over a little bit about N1netails. So N1netails lets you react to alerts in real time and capture the stack trace data. If you're interested, you can learn more through this docs here. And what I did for my application, since it's a Java application, I integrated it with Kuda. So Kuda makes it easy for you to capture exceptions in your Java applications, and this goes over how to set it up. Now, I did this in my other side project called CyberChef AI, and what it does is it will capture exceptions or even success messages. So whenever a user generates a recipe, I'll get alerted on that as well. I'll go ahead and go over a demo on that. So if we go to the sign in here, if a user tries to sign in with an email that doesn't exist, or if they're not subscribed, it should send me a alert. So I'll try and log in here. We'll see there was an error logging in, but also on my dashboard here, it will capture that new alert. So we got a new alert here, and there is this exception. So the selected email does not have an active subscription, and it's an error. So this lets me know if somebody's trying to sign up for my website and they're just having a hard time trying to log in. And then inside of N1netails, we can see with this tail, it captured the stack trace data. And for most of us, a lot of the stack trace data is a lot of gibberish and it's hard to parse through. Good thing about N1netails is you can investigate with Inari, which just uses LLMs in the background to look at the metadata and the details to give you information on what happened. So Inari came back with an analysis, and it says the root cause, user subscription not active, and it just gives you information what the root cause is. There's no email, and then I can interact with it further. How should I fix this? Obviously, there's not much fix for this because I just need to let the user know that they need to set up a subscription. So we can see here that Inari is hooked up to OpenAI in the background, and it will give you more information on how to resolve this. So yeah, if we look here, we can see when I first initialized this, there were some issues that were happening, and I used N1netails to help me resolve some of the issues. So when I first deployed CyberChef, I was getting a lot of these weird errors where no resource found exception. And this was actually causing my CyberChef to go down after a few months. And because of N1netails, I was able to fix this functionality. Obviously, this error, what's interesting about this error is it wasn't showing up when I was running my application locally. This error only showed up after I deployed it to the cloud. And what's happening here was some type of bot is trying to hit an endpoint that doesn't exist, trying to run some type of health check. And Inari actually gave me information on that and explained like how I could potentially fix it. And then let's go ahead and look at some other ones. So let's see, then I had this no endpoint get, and it kind of just told me like, hey, you don't have a base endpoint for this get. is causing an error. Again, it was another bot that was kind of trying to hit this endpoint to see if the website was up. So yeah, and so I can also have it track success issues. So if I go ahead and log in here, and let's say I just want to generate a random recipe. Let's say it's a little past lunch, so maybe I want to plan to make something for dinner. And I got chicken and eggs. Okay, and then maybe I want to add some rice in here. Chicken, eggs, rice, no allergies that I know of. I'll go ahead and generate the recipe. This will take a few minutes, so I'll probably just cut right past this when it gets the recipe done. Generating the recipe. Okay, and there you go. It went ahead and generated this chicken and egg fried rice recipe for me with a very beautiful image as well. Cool. And if I go ahead and check my N1netails dashboard, we'll see there was a new alert that came in. And this one was a successful alert. So I had 2 error alerts and 1 successful alert. And we can see a new recipe request was created with someone was looking for a dinner recipe. And these are the ingredients. So for example, if there was an error message that came after this recipe, I could see what type of recipe the user was trying to make and then help them out afterwards. All right, so now that you understand how N1netails works, I'm gonna go ahead and show you how I got it set up for my application. The first thing, if you want to get started, you can explore this documentation to go over it, but I'll go over how I set it up with Kuda. And if we jump over into the code, the first thing you want to do is add this dependency to your project POM, so the N1netails Kuda. And if we look here, I deployed it to Maven Central. So there's a few N1netails libraries. The one I'm using today is this N1netails Kuda. So it's available for everybody to use. And once you add it to your dependencies, then you can configure it. And all of this information I go over how to set this all up inside of this documentation. So setting up, and now we're at this configure part. So if we look at my CyberChef, this is where I set up the configurations. So I set the API URL, which you can point to anything. I'll show you in the application properties what I set it to, the API path, and then getting the 9 token. And then another good thing about Kuda is you can set it up as a default exception handler. So sometimes you have exceptions that you might not catch, and Kuda should be able to capture those uncaught exceptions and generate a report for you. It's actually pretty useful. If we look in here, this is where I set up the Kuda config. I point it to my SaaS application, which we saw right here, the app N1netails.com. And then the path to send the alerts is this. And then here's the Kuda token. In order to generate the Kuda token to use it for your application, you need to log into N1netails. Once you create an account, you go to this drop down here and go to account settings. And in the settings, you can generate a token. So I'm just going to go ahead and create this Kuda token demo and select the organization of N1netails. If I create this, we got a new demo token. I can reveal it, copy it, and add it to the properties file here. So new token right there. Once you have all that set up, Kuda should start being able to send the alert information to the dashboard. Okay, so let me show you how I set up the success message for the new recipe request. Whenever a user So for example, if you want to track whenever a user is doing something and you want to get alerted, maybe you need to fulfill a request, like maybe ship an item and you need to know when somebody's looking at something. So here I use the tail success whenever someone generates a new recipe. And then I just added in the details. What are the ingredients? What were their allergies? And then the type of action that happened is a user action was completed. And then we can add the tags, which were these recipe tags. Well, let me go into the exception handling part. So here I have a exception handler to capture most of my exceptions that happen inside of my CyberChef AI with this implements error controller. And what it does is it will capture these exceptions. Usually if you have like a try catch, your try catch can do this too, but I have this exception handler handling that for me. And you know, when you have a try catch, you don't really know what to put in the catch sometimes. What you can do with the catch is you can put these tail reports here. And you just feed it the exception, like any exception. So you can see all these tail reports. There's these different exceptions that are happening here. And I just feed the whole exception into this tail report. If I go into this tail report, we'll see there's this report exception method. And what it does is it actually captures a lot of information inside of the server that I deployed CyberChef into. And then it will get the stack trace information and it'll add it to the details of the tail model. So yeah, whenever you saw this exception happening here, all this information gets generated from the Kuda library here. All this metadata and then the details for the stack trace. So the cool thing about this is with Kuda, you can capture your whole stack trace and then you can ask Inari to give you information on what happened on this specific exception. So yeah, that is the project, N1netails, and it's meant to help you capture exceptions in your application so you can get notified and you won't be blind to what's happening on your project. The nice thing about Kuda is it helps you capture your mean time to resolve and how long it takes you to resolve certain errors, right? So ideally, we want to be able to solve them as fast as possible. And we want to see this MTTR gradually go down. And then here's the tail alerts that happen by the hour. So if you have a busy application, you should see this populate with a lot of information. And then we got these monthly alerts, how many alerts happen per day. Cool. So yeah, that's N1netails. And if you're interested in the project, please check it out, like and follow me on Discord or reach out to me and I can help you out with setting it up. Okay, bye.